having fun yet? We hope you will join us if you know the song. I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. I am one with the heart of the Mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. I am one with the heart of the Mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. I am one with the heart of the Mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. I am one with the heart of the Mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. We honor the place in you where the entire universe resides. We honor the place in you of love, light, truth, and peace. We honor the place in you where when you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, there is only one of us. Namaste. And
That
now a
was
word from our
beautiful.
sponsor.
That was absolutely beautiful. Before we begin our service, let's take a moment to meet our spiritual community. Let's stand up, say hello, and greet everyone.
Love Train. Y'all know Love Train. All right.
Okay,
So let's do it.
let's do Love Train.
You might want to take that. You can dance. All right. Use the kids.
All over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train.
The next love we'll make will be in England.
Tell all the folks in Russia and China too.
Don't you know that it's time
To get on board and let this train keep on riding, riding with you. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train.
all
all your brothers over in Africa. Tell all the folks in Egypt and Israel too. Please don't miss this train at the station. 'Cause if you miss it, I feel sorry, sorry for you. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, ride, let it ride, let it ride, let it ride. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world.
All right. Okay, so now Shelley has to say, this is time for the meet and greet.
This is time for the meet and greet.
Yeah.
Meet your spiritual community.
Let's get more hugs in.
Welcome to Unity of Metairie. My name is Shelley. And first thing I'd like to ask you, if you have your cell phones, please silence them, because we have a great service for you today and no interruptions. Are there any visitors here today? If you don't mind, would you like to raise your hand or would you like to stand up? Whatever you're comfortable with. We have some material that we'd like to give you to help you on your spiritual journey. And if you'd like us to keep in touch with you, there's also a card that you can fill out on the back and just leave it with Bill when you leave service today. Thank you for joining us. For those of you that are new, Unity is not a religion. Unity is a philosophy. And it teaches us spiritual principles, how to get in touch with our wholeness, our wellness, how to find that definition of what we call God. We don't tell you what to do or what to think. We just want to be a guide to help you along your spiritual path. I'd also like to welcome those that are joining us on Facebook. Hopefully by now you have a nice cup of tea or coffee. And if you'd like to contribute to our ministry, you can do that one of two ways. You can go to unityofmetairie.com, and there's also a post below the post that you're watching. So we thank you, because anything that you do offer helps us with our services and our programs. I'd like to ask the children to come forward now, please. And I do have to say this, if there's any puppies would like to come forward. We have Bear. Bandit got away. You know, Unity has a wonderful children's program. And while we're here together learning principles that we understand, we also have a program for the children to learn these same principles in words and in fun ways that they understand. So let's give them a blessing. Children of light, we bless you. We see you loved, guided, and protected by God's presence. And now the New Orleans blessing. We love you hard, hard, hard. We swear to God. Okay, Steve's going to say our daily word for today. Second thought, I think someone who looks a lot like David is going to do the daily word today.
Sunday, January 27, 2019. Seize the moment. I embrace the possibilities for good in this moment. In her book, Lessons in Truth, H. Emily Cady shares the affirmation, I am the manifestation of God. In every moment, divine life, love, wisdom, power flows into and through me. And her words inspire me to begin thinking of problems as possibilities. I ask myself, what good thing is ready to happen in my life right now? And I recognize my divine nature. And my perspective transforms. And I find the meaning in every situation, every moment. The statement, wherever I am, God is, becomes a vibrant reality. Unlimited divine life, love, wisdom, and power are mine to use, not only as I move through major life events, but also in ordinary moments of everyday life. God's life, love, wisdom, and power express in my decisions and in my actions. Let us love, not in words or speech, but in truth and action. 1 John 3:18.
Thank you. And now we're going to learn a little bit about the world's religion.
At this time, we like to honor the diversity of all people and all religions, recognizing that spirit is in all and all are divine. At this time, we symbolically honor the sacredness of all spiritual paths, realizing that there are many common threads throughout many religions and many life paths. Let us open our hearts and minds to accept the uniqueness of all. Native American practice is the path of honoring the earth and all beings. Shintoism is the path sensitive to nature's spiritual forces, honoring sacred spirits of ancestry. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Sufism is the path of daily communion with God. Christianity is the path of love and forgiveness. Taoism is the path of meditation and contemplation, focusing on the inner harmonies of the universe. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Judaism is the path of living by sacred law. Buddhism is the path of compassion, detachment, and mindfulness. Paganism and Wicca both see the sacred in nature as well as the individual soul and seek understanding of the evolution and mystery of the universe. And unity is the path of empowerment and change through our conscious co-creation with Spirit. So at this time, David will light our Christ candle as a symbol of the Christ consciousness that illuminates and joins us all.
We're going to begin our meditation. I'd like to invite our guest to come up and guide us in that meditation. This is Armand and Angelina.
We invite you now to relax and quiet the mind. You may close your outer eyes if you like. Let go of anything that may be troubling you. Any unfair football calls or things like that that may be in your minds right now. Unity gives us the tools to deal with those things. And as we quiet the mind, it can be helpful to bring your attention to the breath. Breathing in more peace and faith, and breathing that out to share with the rest of the world that may not have some of the tools that we have, some of the awareness and teachings that remind us that peace is available at all times. Allow the music now to take you on a sacred journey into your own inner peace, your innocence, your worthiness, your oneness with God. very gently now, begin to bring your attention to your physical body, this sacred sanctuary, this holy now moment. For only right here, right now, can we truly experience the peace of God. Thank you, great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, and so it is. Amen. God, Goddess, Buddha, Krishna, Christ, Mohammed, Allah. God, Goddess, Kuan Yin, Ra, Jehovah, Kali, Allah. And so it is.
Our spiritual director, Jack Fowler, is not here today. Jack, if you're watching us on Facebook, we just want to wish you well and hope that you're doing well today. You've already got a taste of our musical guest today in that lovely song that they played at the beginning of service. But let me tell you more about them. Armand is an award-winning songwriter and an inspirational speaker whose enthusiastic presence inspires us all to live more passionately. Angelina's angelic and open heart and her voice draws many people together in many different languages. She was classically trained at Indiana University and was formerly with Epcot Center. They are international performers using songs, stories, and humor to remind us now to open our hearts and remember that we are meant to experience heaven on earth. And I also found out that they've been on America's Got Talent. So let's welcome. Thanks for bringing that. So let's welcome Armand and Angelina.
It's a delight to be here. I've been coming to this center for 20 years. Raise your hand if you've been around that long at this center. Okay. So I started back in 97 and 98 solo, and this was one of the first centers that allowed me to come and speak. And it's great to be in the South. We live in Florida, so it's nice to go 4 hours north so we can get back to the South. Because Florida is, we saw your Audubon Zoo yesterday, spent many hours there, and of course now we can't go anywhere without going, well, they all ask for you. They all ask
Now you'll
for
all
you.
be singing that. Thanks
They
a lot,
even
Armand.
inquired about you. Anyway, so that was all through the zoo. So, yeah. So Everett's been humming it and singing it all morning as well. So a delight to be here. We're very honored that Reverend Jack allowed us to be here with you today. And our message is, I now pronounce you not guilty. And so we're going to be talking and singing about our beauty and our innocence and our oneness today, so we can maybe let go of even a little bit more of the old shame and guilt that we're all moving from. You know, we were taught in a lot of our early religions to have shame and guilt, like it was part of God's plan. And I don't believe that at all. When I was growing up, I grew up Catholic. My family are the Delahousie family, so there's a lot of them all over Louisiana. I'm from Lake Charles. And actually, I was born Catholic. We're still 3/4 Catholic, Angelina too. But in my early church experience, we were taught that we were born in original sin. Anybody ever hear that? How's that working for you? I always think you come to a spiritual center to feel more one with God and feel more awesome about yourself, and then they tell you that you were born in original sin. Now, I'm not putting down any other religion, because we in Unity, we know we are a philosophy, not a religion. Religion are for people who are afraid they're going to hell. Spirituality is for those of us who've been there. And so here we are. We often find our way into Unity after a lot of struggles through other things, and then our consciousness raises, and then all of a sudden we come home. I started going to Unity Church in 1984. When I had given up church for 9 years, I said, I'm not going to go to church. I don't resonate with anything they talk about. And somebody said, I found a church for you, Armand. It's called Unity. I said, I don't go to church. And he said, perfect, because Unity is the church for people who don't like church. And it's been happening ever since. And so when I found out Unity is that I wasn't born in original sin. I was born as an original blessing. Now, here's a wonderful thing about our internal guidance system, which is what Abraham Hicks calls it. If you say something about yourself that is not true, which is usually negative, it won't feel good. If you say that you were born in original sin, that will not feel good. If you say, I was born as an original blessing, that will feel good, right? That's your internal guidance system saying, think more of that. But just like your GPS, if you think negative thoughts, you can hear your internal voice go, redirecting route. And the way you redirect your route is you listen to your feelings, and you start to feel bad, and you go, oh, I must be thinking a thought that is not in alignment with the truth of who I am. So, I'll tell you a little quick story. Many, many years ago, I had a situation. I had a surrogate mom. My mom left for many years when I was about 4. And so I had a surrogate mom kind of take over. And she did not really like the job. Not cool when somebody's taken over a job that they really can't stand and you're their job. Okay, so I had a lot of challenges. But what I also had was a heavy-duty codependency for the type of relationship that we had. Even though it wasn't good for me, it was familiar, and I had a loyalty to it. And so many, many years ago, I wrote a song about forgiveness, and I played it from my biological mother, and my biological mother told my surrogate mother, Armand wrote a song about you. And it's called I Forgive You for You Know Not What You Do. And so the surrogate mom, who I was still very, very attached to, said, I heard your song, and I'm never speaking to you again. Now, that only lasted 12 years. And after 12 years, we started speaking together again, and the relationship became very, very nice for a while. But then she started doing some things that I found to be inappropriate. And I said, I'm going to have to let her know this isn't working. And my beautiful bride said to me, remember what happened last time you told her how you felt, or she found out how you felt? Are you willing to be abandoned again? Now, abandonment is my biggest shadow. Okay. And I said, yes, I am, because I love myself more than I love her loving me. And something flipped when I said that. I love myself more than I love her loving me. And if you think about it, that's the opposite of codependency. Doesn't mean you don't love your parents or your kids or your friends or anybody. It just means your love for yourself is more important and valuable than their love for you. Raise your hand if you've ever had somebody else's love for you more valuable than your own self-love. Didn't feel good, did it? But that's what we go to Unity for, partially, is to get reminded that we were born as an original blessing. The greatest glory that we can give to God is by loving God's creation. And actually, we are part of God. So it's like, it's really, self-love is a love for God. But we are not taught that. We are taught that self-love is conceited and egotistical, and it's not. I'll show you the difference. To say, I absolutely love myself just the way I am, I did the best I could at all times, given my current level of consciousness, I am awesome. Let's say that together. I am awesome. That's not the least bit conceited. That's a glorification of God. Here's what's conceited. I am awesome, and they're not. That's conceited, okay? When I think about Jesus and Buddha and people like that, I think about people with a very high self-esteem that knew they were awesome. They also knew that all of us were awesome at the same time. It's a different level. It's beyond limits. It's loving God so much. It's loving God the way God loves us and loving ourselves the way God loves us. Angelina and I, when we first got together a little over 18 years ago, the love drugs. Y'all know about the love drugs? They're awesome. They're awesome. dopamine, all over the place. And so she would say wonderful stuff about me. You are really wonderful. I'm so lucky to have you. You are an awesome boyfriend. And I would go, I am. But I wasn't really feeling it. I just thought I felt it because I was high as a kite on the love drugs. Then after a couple of years, sometimes she would say, boy, you're the most awesome person. I'm like, well, you don't know me yet. Because the love drugs were wearing off and my own insecurities were starting to come back in. And then after a while, after we were together maybe 6 to 7 years, I went, well, she's an awesome lady. She's still here. Maybe she's right. Maybe I am awesome. I was starting to feel awesome again, but without the drugs. I didn't need the drugs anymore. And then after about 9 or 10 years, after she and I were together long enough and working on our principles together, then when she would say, you're awesome, I would say, why, thank you. And what happened is I had gone from not loving myself and feeling shame and guilt to getting to a point to where I was starting to love myself the way God loves me. Okay. Karen Taylor Good, if you know who she is, she has a song, God's Refrigerator. And it says, God's got your picture on God's refrigerator. That's how much you're loved. So that's been a big thing for me. So we're gonna chant these words because these are very foreign words. Raise your hand if you find it easier to love other people and God than to love yourself. Okay. That's how we were trained. We were trained that it was great to love others, great to love God, but not to love ourselves. So we're gonna sing these words. I love myself more than I love you loving me. And it might be a little tricky at first, okay? So, but that's the true way we are definitely designed to have this self-love. And guess what? Self-love is kind of like putting your oxygen mask on the airplane. They'll say, in case of emergency or turbulence, mask will fall down. Please place yours on first. That's a metaphor. Then they say, and then assist small children. If you have more than one child, pick your favorite. They don't really say that. They don't really say that. Okay, but anyway, it's a metaphor for you don't have air unless you are filled up. And most of us go through life trying to get filled up from other sources instead of filling ourselves up from within, which is what Unity teaches. Prayer and meditation, I believe, is the greatest way to get your oxygen filled up. So guess what? You have joy and life and health and vibrancy to share with others. Fill your cup and then share with others. Okay, so I love myself more than I love you loving me. I love myself more than I love you loving me. I love myself, my love. That's your part. I love myself more than I love you loving me. I love myself, my love. I love myself more than I love you loving me. I love myself, my love. I love myself more than I love you loving me. I love myself, my love. I love myself more than I love you loving me. I love myself, my love. I love myself, my love. I love myself, my love. Look at him, no hands. Try that. Cha-cha-cha. Thank you. So we're going to encourage you to anytime you're around anyone and you start to feel that lack or that guilt or that shame, and you start to give them more power over how you feel than your own inner truth, just sing that. You know, we just got through the holidays. Holidays is a time when we spend time with people that we don't always see. These people usually know where our buttons are. They love to push them, especially if you're related. You know what a family reunion is? When you bring a covered dish and an unresolved resentment. But one thing you can do if you're around somebody that does push those kinds of buttons is you can say, I love myself more than I love you loving me. It's best if you don't say it out loud. Just say it on the inside and smile and trust that they are actually in their own kind of shadowy way helping you to feel better about yourself in the long run, because you're forced to raise your consciousness. You're forced to raise your consciousness around people that push your buttons. Now, the great news about getting buttons pushed, that's a whole nother sermon, but one of the great news about getting button pushed is you find out where your buttons are. And people that help you find out what your buttons are, if you don't shoot the messenger and you trust that you're getting something out of it, they can actually help you heal that part and remove that button so it doesn't get pushed anymore. Doesn't mean you want to hang out with them a lot, but it does. It can be positive. Everything in life is either a blessing or a blessing in disguise. So let's see. We're going to talk a little bit about real love. Has anybody heard of a teacher by the name of Greg Bear? He's an author and he writes all these books and series on real love. It's our favorite relationship material. And it does talk about our divinity. And what it talks a lot about is our beauty and our innocence. But parents and adults often, when they get triggered or inconvenienced, they don't treat us like these perfect, innocent, holy children of God. And that can really, really affect us as we grow up, forcing us to be in lots of therapy and take mind-altering drugs to compensate. But the truth is, all we really need deep down is that sense of beauty and innocence and worthiness that is in us naturally, but if it's not nurtured, we kind of have a little bit of spiritual amnesia. So he gives us a great tool in his book. There's so many tools in there, but one of the ones that I really like is when you're talking to somebody, especially if it's a child, but we're all children of God, right? There's a part of us that's a child right now. You know how I know that? It doesn't say in any spiritual text that we are adults of God, right? Has anybody ever read we're adults of God? So we're children of God. Lots of references to some of these jokes are time released. You'll get them later. It's okay. Okay. So he has a great tool, and he says whenever, now he doesn't say anger is bad. He said, but anger is for you to raise your consciousness, okay? But is not to be taken out on another. Anger and disappointment basically tells the other person, I only love you when you're not bothering me, okay? So when you put anger and disappointment on another person, especially children, they get the message that I'm only lovable as long as. Anybody ever get that message? I'm only lovable as long as. Of course, they used a lot. I don't know if they do that in new parenting, but when I was a kid, good boy and bad boy was there a lot. And in my case, mischievous Armand, there was a lot of bad boy. And I heard that, and it really affected me. And I would think, oh, I got to make sure that I act good so I'll be good. Absolutely not true. Here's something. In Unity, we very rarely talk about your limitations. However, I'm going to give you a limitation. This is impossible. None of you will ever be able to do it. It's impossible for you to be unlovable. It's impossible for you to be a bad person. Who's tried? Come on, come on. Come on, some of us have tried. It's impossible because your perfect eternal self is divine, lovable, and worthy. Okay, now you can do things that will cause consequences that will force you to raise your alignment with God, get closer to God, but you can never be bad. You will always be lovable. So it's important that if we're dealing with other human beings, especially as Unity people, that we remind them, which also reminds us that they are lovable. So here's a great thing that you can do. Let's give you an example. Let's say you have a teenage kid and they're just learning to drive and they backed out of your garage, but they forgot to raise the garage door. How are you going to feel in that moment? Maybe a little anger, maybe a little disappointment. That is not the time to talk with them. That's not the time. So you might go to them and say, hi, I know what you did, and I saw the garage door. I need a little time for myself to heal what's going on. I love you. You are awesome. You could never be unlovable in my eyes. You are my sweet, beautiful child. But I'm having a little issue, and I need to handle it. Then I go to my friend here, and I say, I want to kill my kid. Now what happens there is I'm letting it out with someone other than my kid, than the person that triggered it in me. And my beautiful friend here, who practices unity principles, can help me. And she might say something like, I understand it. I go through stuff like that. I would be the same way. But let's talk about the truth. What's the truth? And the truth is, I can fix my garage. The truth is, everything will get worked out. I like the John Lennon statement, everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. You may have heard us sing that song here before. All is well. And what she does is she helps me get filled back up, because when I saw the car go through the garage door, I emptied out all of my sanity, and anger took over that spot. So what she will do, she'll help me get filled back up to where I realize what's real. And then I can go back filled up, full of love, and say, still love you. Everything's awesome. Now we're going to talk about consequences. And what people hear, and it's not about not having consequences. It's about reminding ourselves and everyone we are with at all times that their lovability is not affected by what they say or what they do. It may affect how much time we spend with them. Those are consequences. But the lovability is there. And they actually have proven that kids and animals feel safer when there are disciplinary consequences, as long as it's done with love, as long as they feel loved. When they don't feel loved, then they don't feel safe. But they actually feel safer with disciplining consequences than they would if there were no disciplining consequences. They actually feel safer. Why? Because they know that you're protecting them, but loving them all the time. So here's another great little tool that really, really, really helps when you're starting to get triggered by somebody. Now, we know that if you had time, you would always go back to the place of, this person's doing the best they can in this particular circumstance, given their current level of consciousness. Does everybody agree with that? Can you say that you have always done, raise your hand if you know for sure that you've always done the very best you could at any given time, given your current level of consciousness? A lot of hands not going up there. Why? Because we have more ammunition on ourselves. We have more stuff that believes we didn't, because we know what we're capable of. It doesn't mean that you can't do better. We can always do better, but it means in that moment, you did the best you could. And that's that unconditional love. The universe doesn't go, man, I love you so much, as long as you don't hit a bad chord. Okay? I love you, you're awesome, as long as you never have road rage. Okay? If you've been on I-10, you know what that is. Okay? No, the universe loves us with that unconditional. Actually, unconditional love is redundant. Conditional love is an oxymoron. If it's conditional, it's not love. There's only one kind of love, and it's unconditional love. So here's a little tool that will help you, that helps Angelina and I, and hopefully you will like it too, that when somebody is saying something or doing something that doesn't feel good to you, you can practice this little thinking that will help you not become angry and disappointed. So here's an example. I want you all to imagine now that you're having a beautiful little outdoor garden party, maybe drinking some mint juleps or things like that, and you're sitting by a pool, and there's some noisy people in the pool, and they're kind of interrupting your conversation, but you know they're just having fun, you're fine. And then they're splashing a little bit, and a little bit gets on your shoe, and you're so spiritual that you're not going to take that personally, and you're feeling good, and you're having fun. And then a whole bunch of water comes and lands all over you, and the chlorine starts to stain your clothes, bleach out your clothes. Now, at that point, you might have had just enough of what's going on at your beautiful little party, and you might run over to the side of that pool, and you're going to give them a piece of your mind. Can you feel it? You're ready? And then when you get there, guess what you see? you see a 5-year-old in the water drowning. And that's why they were screaming and splashing water. Do you have any anger or disappointment at them now? Why? Because you go, oh my goodness, they were in trouble. They were drowning. They're doing the best they can. Greg Bear says everybody that's obnoxious is drowning. Everybody that is a bully to you, that is mean-spirited, that does actions, that has road rage, that cuts you off, anybody, a part of them is drowning. Otherwise, they wouldn't be splashing water on you. Now, I'm not going to say that it's easy, but if you can do this, and Angelina do this, and I do this all the time, they're drowning. This person might say something to us. A situation might happen that we don't like. That person's drowning. One of the things we like to do in our vehicle, and we're totally making it up, but guess what? Most of what you think you're making up anyway. You may as well make something up that makes you feel good. Somebody says, well, why do you believe that everything's, conspiring on your behalf? That's not true. I go, because if I make up that everything's against me, I feel terrible. And if I'm paranoid all the time. But I make up that the whole world, the whole universe is conspiring on my behalf, it feels good. I have what's called reverse paranoia. I walk around going, oh my gosh, they're saying nice stuff about me. It's not necessarily true. Somebody held up a finger at me one time going through an intersection. I said, I'm number one. But there's all different ways you can transform this. You can transform anything that happens to you. And one of the great tools, one of the things that we do while we're driving, if somebody does something really obnoxious, cuts us off and blah, blah, we'll say they might be on the way to the hospital with a dying spouse. How can you judge and be angry at somebody who's suffering that much? What's the old saying? I'm sure you've seen it. Hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. And when somebody's hurting, the last thing you want to do is go back after them, make them feel even worse than they do. Again, it doesn't mean you need to hang out with them a lot. It just means that you are not going to take it personally, and you are going to keep yourself filled up. And if you're not filled up, get away from that person. Now, sometimes Angelina will go, I'm going outside. We'll be talking about something. It'll get a little heated. I'm going outside. I know exactly what she's doing. She is going outside to be away from me so she doesn't say something to me that will cause a problem. Now, while she's gone, I start thinking, what did I say? What did I do? And by the time I see her again, we're both filled up, and I usually have to apologize, but she usually doesn't need me to apologize. See, that's the beauty of it, because she's worked her thing out, I've worked my thing out. It's a really healthy, when you're together all the time, you have to find healthy tools. We're together 24/7. We're on the road about 150 days, 250 days a year away from our home, traveling. Y'all are the end of a 5.5-week tour. We get home to Florida today. So we're together a lot in a little van, and we're soulmates, but sometimes when you're in a small vehicle, you can feel like cellmates. But we're soulmates. So Angelina, I think it's time for us to go into our final song. Did I miss anything that was important that I was supposed to cover today? Awesome. So we're going to sing a song now that I wrote called Innocent. And it was to remind myself and others of the truth of who we are. Divine, innocent, perfect children of God. I heard about this young kid time for a crime he did not do. He offered his confession, and when they asked him why, he said, I did not know the truth. He was innocent. I thought about my own life, how I was like that kid, When they told me I was bad, I offered my confession to what they said I did, and lost the childhood I once had. I am innocent, I did nothing wrong. I've been serving time for this crime for far too long. I am not to blame for what I didn't do. There is nothing I need to prove. I am innocent. You are innocent. This is the time for justice. This time we're gonna get it right. We're finally hearing the whole truth. You know what I did? I fired all my juries and got the pardon I deserved. And now I'm freeing other inmates too. You are innocent. You did nothing wrong. You've been serving time for the crime for far too long. You are not to blame for what you didn't do. There is nothing you need to prove. We are innocent. We did nothing wrong. We've been serving time for this crime for way too long. We are not to blame for what we didn't do. There is nothing we need to prove. I am innocent.
You are so lovable.
You are innocent.
Who you are is so important.
We are innocent.
You deserve so much love.
There is nothing we need to prove. I am innocent.
You are worthy.
You are innocent.
You are perfect in every way.
We are innocent. I now pronounce us not guilty, and so it is. Thank you.
Armand and Angelina, I'm glad you found your way 4 hours north to remain in the Deep South and share that message with us today. It was just wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, now's that time in our spiritual service where we join together and we give to our spiritual community. We join in that circle of giving, that circle that recognizes that we are prosperous, we're abundant, and we are generous. I'd like to invite you to come forward. If you'd like to make a donation to our community, we have a
Grateful, grateful, I am grateful for all that I have, all that I am grateful, I'm so great.
and also please take an affirmation.
Armand and Angelina, thank you again. And they would like to have, for everyone to have their music. So they are offering their CDs on a suggested exchange basis. So they ask that you please take what you desire and give from your heart, and feel free to tithe in the future if you don't have it on you now. Thank you for that. So we just have a few announcements before we leave. Right after the service, around 12 o'clock, they're going to be sticking around to do a workshop, a Native American flute. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if it's 12 or 1, but whichever one y'all want, we'll do it then.
Do we have any no slides for anything? Okay, so just I'm going to try to make some announcements without any visuals, so hopefully I don't forget anything. But 12 o'clock.
12, and then we'll be done around 1, and you'll be able to go out for lunch, so that'll be great.
Okay. Samantha, do we have a lunch bunch today? Okay. At around 1? So if you guys... Okay. So at Semolina's, after the workshop, if you'd like to meet up and have lunch together, we're going to go to Semolina's immediately following the workshop. Also, throughout the week, we have a lot of different activities that go on. So for those of you who are new and maybe don't know quite what all we offer here, but on Wednesday nights, we have our weekly, we call it a faith lift, where you can come in at 6 o'clock, and Jack, our spiritual director, does an hour of guided meditation. It's wonderful. We have a nice group that come for that, and then immediately following that at 7 o'clock, we will have a class on A Course in Miracles. Not really a class, it's more of a discussion. You don't really need any experience with A Course in Miracles, but if you're interested in talking about it or learning about it, there will be a class or discussion group on it at 7 o'clock. And that's, again, for about an hour. Let's see, Tuesday nights, are we having Paul and Brenda? Did they decide if there was going to be a class on this coming Tuesday? I don't see them. No, okay, so we're not going to have one Tuesday coming up, but frequently on Tuesday nights we do have classes, different kinds of metaphysical Bible study, discussion groups, book discussions. They do all kinds of really wonderful classes. So next week maybe we can update you on that. We also are collect food for the Second Harvest Food Bank. It's still January, so we're doing soup and crackers this month. If you care to bring in any kind of canned soup and crackers, we'll get that together and bring that over there. I'm trying to remember if is there anything else, Steve, that we... I think you got it. We'll see. Okay, so we're going to have a song to take us out. If everybody wants to stand, we're going to sing All Is Well. And please stick around.
If it's your first time here, please second chance.
Yes, come back on Sunday so you can meet him. He's wonderful. Yes.
All is well, life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well.
truly blessed. All is well, your life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well and life is good, and I am truly blessed.
Come on, everybody.
All is well and life is good, and I am truly
I
blessed.
know I'm blessed.
All is well and life is good, and I am truly blessed.
Yes, I
All
am.
is well and life is good,
And I am truly blessed.
I'll let light shine so that everyone can see. I'll let love divine daily flow through me. All is well, life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well, life is good, and I am truly blessed.
Yes, I am.
All is well, and life is good. I am truly blessed.
I know I'm blessed.
I am truly blessed. I am truly blessed.
Thank you. Good job, girls. We'll send everyone out with our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming.
Hot darn. Yeah, let's go by.